This is Corbin Thomas with Below Market Investors and IREA, Investment Real Estate Associates. That's where I currently hold my broker's license. And I just want to talk about a situation in commercial real estate today, in apartment building real estate in Los Angeles. And I met with an investor who I've known for 4.5 years today. He's involved in a 1033 exchange, and his tax liability actually isn't that great in terms of the percentage of the overall equity in the exchange. But he has owned a lot of apartment buildings. He's a really sharp investor, and wants to put his money to work. And I met with him. We talked about deflation. He agreed with me. He owns a lot of apartment buildings currently, and understands that his rents are going down, and agreed with me on deflation, but needs to utilize the funds before the deadline for his 1033 exchange. And he did, and so he's in escrow on a property right around the corner from his house in San Pedro, California. And San Pedro immediately brings negative kind of connotations to it because it's got mostly sketchy parts. He lives in his house actually is in an area called the Palisades, overlooking the ocean, a beautiful part on the perimeter of San Pedro, bordering Rancho Palos Verdes. Really a cool part of the area, but kind of a quiet, sleepy area. But the property is right around the corner from his house. However, it's 65% Hispanic, and it is a lower income area, but most of the units have ocean views. But during our meeting, he was telling me about this property, and he told me he was paying $138,000 a unit. And I was discussing the discount market with him and the capitulation we've seen from some of the smaller banks, not the too bigs, because the banks that were too big to fail, they have no incentive to sell their properties at discounts. They just hold on to them, or don't bother even filing a notice of default if the investor, the owner, hasn't been paying their mortgage. But the other banks, the real banks, have been starting to capitulate on their prices, and we discussed this. And he said, yeah, and he understood, and we talked about everything else. He asked me about my opinion on the overall market, stock market, bond market. I told him stock market is manipulated. It has no rational reason to be at the price, at the rate, at the overall prices that we're seeing now. But it's pumped by the Fed, whether through their overnight lending rate that filters through the investment banks into the hedge funds back into the stock market, or just through the plunge protection team. The stock market's artificially manipulated. He agreed, and he told me about the building some more, and I said, let's go, or he said, why don't you go take a look at it? And I said, oh, I will on my way back. And he goes, oh, I'll go with you. And I said, okay, I'll give you a ride back. And he said, no problem. So we went to look at the building. You know what? Even in a deflationary depression, this guy is smart, because this building was a good building, and it was worth it. And for the unit size and the price that he paid, he got a great price on this building, right around the corner from his house. Beautiful ocean views, and he worked with a broker with Marcus and through Marcus and Millichap, and I told him, you know what, I agree. I think this is a great deal. And he said, well, I wouldn't have bought it if you didn't say you did. So I said, I did. And I'm a broker, and I work for a competing company, but I'm going to tell him the truth. And whether I think most of the people in my firm would agree with this philosophy at IREA, there might be a couple of people who would disagree with this philosophy. But I'm going to represent my clients. So I'm in commercial real estate. I'm going to represent my clients, whether they're a buyer or a seller, in the most honest way possible. I'm going to tell them the truth, and that's the way I'm going to do business.